McCruise on an MT-07. This is a 2022 MT-07, and yes, you can install the McCruise on it. I did. The computer is under here. You can't see it, which is great. The part you can see, let me just walk around. If I don't point it out, you don't notice it. But here is the motor that pulls the cable when the cruise is working, and here is the cabling. So this is the throttle cable, and then if you see back here, this is the cable from the motor that pulls, and they both go to this, which works the actual throttle. I'm having no real notice of the regular throttle. It feels like normal. So far, so good. And here is the switch. But everything being black on a black bike, you don't really notice it till I point it out. Anyways, let me hop on the highway and we'll get into it. With the power of editing, let's be there now. And here we are on the highway. So I didn't close off my speed in this video so you can actually see how smooth it is. But I'm going to put the video into two sections. First, showing you how it works and my opinions on how good or bad it is. And second, we'll talk about the installation. To put it on, you see there's 4 buttons here. This button, second from the top, is not a button. It's a light indicator. You can press the power button. It shows you that it's on. Second from the bottom, set, and let's let go to the throttle. Cruise control. On an MT-07, I am a happy person. If you want to stop it, you have some choices. Press the power button one time, and no more cruise. But there's cars behind me, so I'm not going to let it fall too far. You want to resume, you press the bottom button, and it'll kick speed right back up. There you go. If you want to decelerate, you again press the bottom button. 1, 2, 3, and the speed is down. Accelerate. 1, 2, 3. I've increased it by 3 presses, and each press gives you right around 2 kilometers. There are other ways to stop it. You can pull the clutch, but it'll rev a little bit. See, let's press the bottom button to recontinue it. So it's going back up. If you press the front or rear brake, and it decelerates. And one more time to accelerate, this time we'll leave it. But that is the on, off, and set. It is relatively smooth, it holds in place. It is a cable actuated cruise control. So compared to an electronic cruise control that is a ride-by-wire bike that actually offers cruise control, it's not as perfect as the Tracer 900 GT that I had, with the exception that that bike had limited speed, so you couldn't go over 100 with the cruise control. Where the bike is made, Hamamatsu, the major highways have a speed limit of 120, so you can't even hit the speed limit. The newer Tracers limit to 180 kilometers an hour, which is reasonable. With the electronic cruise control, the on-off is pretty effortless, and if you decelerate the throttle, that will turn off the cruise control. This obviously isn't a bike made for cruise control. It is a very aftermarket piece. That's something I had to get used to. When you set the cruise control, that is another thing. It takes a bit of a second to engage. It's not as instant as before. The price you pay for having cruise control on a bike like this. The cruise control that I bought is up to 2020. This is a 2022. I installed it here. As far as the instructions go, the major difference is how you remove and remount the plastics. So if you can figure out these plastics on the tank by yourself, everything else follow the instructions. With that, I'm very happy with the cruise control. It's easy to use, reliable so far, but you know, everything's reliable after 1 month, you would hope. Now this is supposed to be limited to around 180 kilometers an hour, and you can use it as low as around 35 kilometers an hour. I have tried it as low as 35. I've used it up to 120 kilometers an hour. Below 50 kilometers an hour, it gets a bit twitchy. That is not the cruise control. That is the bike itself. Being a cable throttle, being the affordability that it is, it bases the speed off of a wire coming from your speedometer. For it to maintain speed, it may let it drop a little bit, like if you're coming towards a hill. If you're right at the speed, if it's a low speed, if you're adjusting up and down by half a kilometer an hour, you don't notice in real life, but the computer does, and it has to go to a specific number. So you do feel it a little on and off if you're all the way down at like 40 kilometers an hour. But at those speeds, you probably shouldn't be using cruise control. 60 and above, it's incredibly smooth. It is just as smooth as what I have from the OEM on the Tracer 900 GT. It works very easily. It's muscle memory pretty quick. When I use the clutch, you saw the engine rev. It takes a moment to disengage. It is not like electronic cruise control from an OEM with a ride-by-wire. When it disengages, it takes between 1 and 2 seconds. It takes between 1 and 2 seconds to engage. I don't really care about the engage delay because whatever, just hold the throttle for an extra second of your life. But the disengage, I try not to use the clutch to disengage it. When I disengage with the brakes are necessary because it's going to keep accelerating for another second or so. So if you're in a situation where you really want it off right away, brakes are the best way. Now I think according to the manual, the power button is what you're supposed to use. And again, it doesn't shut off right away by pressing the power button. It just disengages and re-engages. But press the power button once, you see the light turn red, so now it's in standby mode or whatever you want to call it. So if I press the bottom button, it will resume. But if I press the power button again, there you go. It's off completely, you see the lights out. Let's press it again, there you go. Set it, there you go. How many times can I say there you go in one video? I don't know, comment below if you counted. And get yourself a hobby. But as far as the installation goes, programming, I'm gonna say just follow the manual. It's a little complicated, it looks more complicated than it is. Follow the instructions. Everything about it, unless you have a newer bike with different plastics, everything else fits perfect. Everything else is reasonable. It took me 3.5, 4 hours, give or take, to get it installed and get it set up. You will notice I do not have an installation video. The reason I do not have an installation video is because I installed this at work. Work being a Yamaha certified dealership. So technically, a Yamaha mechanic at a Yamaha dealership supervised by a professional Yamaha mechanic with a long-term experience did the installation. So my warranty is gray zone intact. I don't think this should void your warranty, but as you know, manufacturers look for any way to do it. So, if you're installing this, I might suggest you install it in a bike that already has its warranty finished. That being said, I did not install it at home, and I'm not allowed to film at work. I'm allowed to do YouTube, and my boss knows about it, and I'm allowed to say I work for a Yamaha dealership. I'm even allowed to say what Yamaha dealership I work at, but I'm not gonna, because somehow this small channel has already accrued 2 stalkers, one of which asked to move in with me. I did it at work, no installation video, but for your installation, here's what you do. Follow the instructions. They are so detailed, you really can't screw it up unless you're skipping steps. A little pro tip, they will mail you black and white instructions with the cruise control if you order it. I found those pictures a little hard to follow, especially because there's a lot of color coordinated parts. If you ask them to email you the instructions, which they did email me, what they email you is in fact in color. The in color high quality photos make it much easier to install. But that's all I really have to say on the installation. It really isn't as hard as it may seem. It is phenomenal having cruise control. I don't know if I'll ever own another bike without cruise control, because why would you not want cruise control? That being said, how do I rate the company? Out of 5 stars, I'll give them 6. They have possibly the best customer service I have ever experienced. Super friendly, super helpful. The functionality for an aftermarket part, I'll say it's great. Through the toll, and we start going, press the resume button, and let go of the throttle, and here we go. Just climb and back up to speed. But off the top of my head, I can't think of anything negative to say about it right now besides the obvious of comparing it to OEM. And as you know, there's a... What the... Well, that's how you almost die. What the... So there's a negative of the cruise control. When a bus cuts you off and tries to kill you, if you just pull the brakes, it may not disengage right away. Don't use the cruise control on heavy traffic. The biggest negative I will say, and maybe the only negative, is if you have an OEM option, go for the OEM option. As far as the OEMs are concerned, I don't know why they don't make it. Like, Honda didn't put cruise control on their brand new 750 engines that are all ride-by-wire. I guess because they want you to buy a bigger NT1100 or Africa Twin that doesn't do what those smaller bikes do. Instead, I bought a Yamaha and sent my money to Australia. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Thanks for watching.